Okay, so I'm gonna start with, I know it's 2 years, but we do about 18 months to 2 years because they have that combined in about similar time frame. So most children would start to begin to put two words together, and your child will begin to understand much of what you say, and you can understand most of what they're saying to you. But unfamiliar people will maybe understand about half of what your child says, and that's really like 18 months to 2 years in a nutshell. So 2 to 3, your child is probably going to be speaking in sentences of 3 to 4 words and getting better at saying words correctly. They might play and talk at the same time, and strangers will probably be able to understand about 75% of what your child says by the time your child is 3. 3 to 5, you can expect longer and more complex conversations about how they're thinking or how they're feeling. And they also might ask about questions about things, people, and places that aren't like right there in front of them. So a little bit more abstract thought. Like, is it raining at school? And they're not at school. They also might want to talk about a wider range of topics, and their vocabulary will keep on growing, and they will show understanding of basic grammar, start using sentences with words like because, if, so, or when. And that's about the time where we get some really interesting stories.
Right.
And I'm gonna do like 5 to 8, and then I know it's not to 8, but that's in that time frame.
Right.
So like early school years is about 5.
Right.
And it starts about 8. So they will learn more words. Always, you're always going to be learning more words when you're this young. You start to understand how the sounds within the language work together. They become a better storyteller as they learn to put those words together in different ways. They'll be able to build different types of sentences. And this will let them be able to share their ideas better and their opinions. And I guess by 8 years old, which is 2 years past what you asked me to talk about, they'll be able to have adult-like conversations.
Gotcha. So in regards to social development within this age group,
Okay.
in a child with autism, how does their development look different?
Okay, so 2 to 6. 1, socially, a lot of this from, I guess, birth to about 3 is a really important time, which is in that time frame. So 2 to 3, they'll be should be able to do side-by-side play or be able to play in the presence of others. And so socially, a child with autism may not be able to or may not want to.
Mm-hmm.
So their idea of play would be by themselves or in that corner because you're not bothering them. They don't want to play with others. Anything more specific than that?
In regards to therapy for an autistic child,
Okay.
what would that look like, and what experience do you have with that?
Well, it would depend on the severity as well as what specific deficits they have. I can talk about a little boy that I worked with. It was more of a behavioral standpoint, but I also can talk about like the play aspect. So he came to us when he was, I think, a little older than, I think he was 3. And he had older siblings. He liked to play with others, but he didn't like to share. He didn't like to do things if it wasn't on his terms. He really liked playing basketball, but by himself. So like all of these things he was capable of doing with others, he just didn't want to.
Would that result in angry or irritability behaviors and things of that nature?
When it came and like if others came and tried to play with him,
Right.
Yes, it definitely could and definitely did. He was a little more physical, so he would, hit you or push you away. The occasional bite if he felt like it. He was a really sweet kid though, so that didn't last as long because he was one of those that really wanted to communicate with others and wanted to play with others. He just really didn't know how to. Also, didn't help that the age gap between him and his youngest sibling was about 10 years easily. I think the youngest sibling was 16, give or take, about the time when he came to us. So it's like more like 13 years. So he didn't really have that whole peer-to-peer play.
So coming to the clinic, how did you try to correct those behaviors?
The aggressive behaviors? Or the not wanting to
Socially.
play with others behavior?
Just socially.
Well, you have to model what you want them to do, or you want any of your kids to do. So, if I wanted to play with a train with them, he wouldn't let me. I would get another train, and I would play in the same room, or a little bit beside him, but not like where he was actually playing, so he wouldn't think I was playing with them. So just like the presence of somebody being there, and someone bigger than him that he couldn't force out, it would slowly build tolerance for that. Eventually, do side-by-side play, which I can't recall off the top of my head, or parallel play. It's parallel play. Or eventually get to the more complicated types of play, which once again I can't think of. It's been a long day.
What are the levels of communication to let you know as the therapist that I don't want to play with you, or I don't want you this close to me, or is there no communication, or does it vary?
It's a wide range. You can have from just, if it's nonverbal, just outright, well, they don't either want to or can't talk.
Right.
So they just will not talk to you, or they'll turn around, kind of freeze you out in a way, or they'll kind of like what he did. He would, use whatever he could to get you to go away. He would hit or scream or, pull away, anything to show that he didn't want you there. Also, he could, not just him, but the others may, tell you, because there was another little boy who was around 6, like, no, I don't want you to play with me, or no, thank you, things like that. Just, and you hear that and you say, all right, well, peace, little dude. I don't want you to play with you anyway. That's fine.